After public death, the city kept selling food. The first thing Dagon hated after the crying stopped. Jerusalem, having no respect for what had happened, continued. Bread still came out of ovens, coins still struck wood, men still argued over price. Dagon wanted to grab the city by its stones and shake it until every door admitted what it had seen. Instead, he carried water. Mara wrapped the child before sunrise. Not tightly enough to anger him, tight enough to make him feel held by something less frightened than the adults. The baby made one small sound, then rooted blindly against her chest. Mara lowered her face until her forehead touched his. Dagon looked away. There were things between mother and child a man should not stare at unless invited by need. The room was nearly empty. Empty rooms after danger look guilty. Mats rolled, cups wrapped, lamp pinched dark, crumbs swept into one corner because even fleeing women refused to leave food for insects if children might need it later. The water jar near the door had been filled halfway. Full was too heavy, empty was foolish. Halfway was the kind of compromise fear makes with distance. Mary had not come, Mara did not say it. Dagon did not say it either. Silence made a place for her larger than speech would have. "We wait until the street fills," Mara said. "Crowds slow feet. Crowds hide families. Crowds hide men looking for families too. Then we look like a family with nothing worth finding." Dagon looked at the child. Impossible. Mara saw his face and softened, but only by a little. Too much softness would have ruined him. "You carry the water," she said. "You said that because you were looking at him as if you might fight the city with your hands." "I might. Then carry water. It gives your hands a better lie." He lifted the jar. It was heavier than it had any right to be. Jerusalem did not receive them when they came. It did not release them when they left. The city had to be worked through. The street outside smelled of lamp smoke, old dung, crushed herbs, sweat, and yesterday's fear badly washed. A woman across the lane beat dust from a cloth with more violence than cloth required. A boy carried a basket of bread past them and looked at Dagon's water jar, not his face. Good. Hunger had eyes more honest than suspicion. They moved slowly because slow looked less guilty. Mara carried the child. Dagon carried water. The arrangement made them ordinary enough to survive the first street. At the second, men were talking near a wall, not soldiers. Men who wanted to be near power without wearing it. The kind who collected names in case names became useful. One looked at Mara too long. Dagon shifted the jar higher on his shoulder and let water slosh. "Careful," Mara said softly. "I am. You are planning. Planning is careful, not when your face does it first." He adjusted his face. One of the men laughed at something the other said, not about them, probably not. The laugh had the loose cruelty of people who had not slept and wanted their own fear to have a victim by noon. Dagon kept walking. The bargaining started inside him at the second corner. The small voice that said, if I had been at the courtyard the night before, if I had stood between him and the man with the staff, if I had spoken at the temple instead of letting the moment pass. That voice was new and had no fist to break and did not stop. He had not known a thing could be over and still be negotiable inside one's own skull. This felt like cowardice. Many wise things felt like cowardice if no one sang about them later. Jesus had known how to stand. Dagon knew how to leave. The thought struck him so hard he nearly stumbled. Mara's hand touched his back for one breath, not to steady the jar, him. "Not here," she said. He nodded. The city gate was already thick with bodies. Pilgrims, traders, women with bundles, men whose grief looked like business, children sour with early waking, animals offended by humanity. Roman leather creaked somewhere ahead before the soldier spoke. A spear beside the gate made every joke smaller. Dagon lowered his eyes. He hated lowering his eyes. He did it anyway. The gate's shadow felt good for one breath, then crowded, then watched. The soldier at the gate smelled of oiled leather, old wine, and a long night without proper bread. He hated that he could not even hate the man cleanly. The body kept knowing things the heart did not want to know, that the man had been a boy once whose mother had also not slept the night her son shipped east. The bile rose. Dagon swallowed. The hating did not get cleaner. A soldier looked at the child and lost interest. The child was the most important thing in the world and also useful because Rome did not care about him yet. "Where?" the soldier asked. Dagon opened his mouth. Mara answered first. "North. Family? Yes. Festival done. For us." The soldier looked at her. Mara held his gaze badly enough to seem humble and well enough not to seem afraid. Dagon admired the craft and resented needing it. Go, the soldier said. They went. Outside the walls, Jerusalem stayed behind them as pressure between the shoulder blades. Dagon expected the road to feel freer. It did not. The road only received feet. It did not forgive where they had been. By mid-morning, the city had shrunk by sight but grown by memory. Every time Dagon looked back, the walls seemed less real and more impossible. Somewhere inside them was the room where they had laughed with olives, the street where Mary had brought oil, the place of wood. The place of stone, the rooms where people were even now deciding what to believe, what to hide, what to deny, what to carry. The road colors started flattening an hour after. The almond blossom was the same pink it had been on the way in, but it would not register as pink today. The body, after seeing what should not have been seen, started declining to receive the small daily kindnesses of color, taste, and smell. Mary had not come. She may still, Mara said. Dagon looked at her. I did not say anything. You keep turning your head. Road habit, friend habit. He faced forward. You think she is alive? Yes. You say that like faith. No, like stubbornness. Stronger, usually. The child woke near noon and began crying with the full authority of someone who had never heard of Rome. Mara stopped beneath a thin tree that offered more suggestion than shade. Dagon set the water down and flexed his fingers. Jar had carved a red line into his shoulder. Mara fed the child. Dagon stood watch because it was the only tenderness he could perform without becoming useless. The road around them kept moving. A man passed carrying a cage with 2 doves. A woman with swollen feet leaned on her daughter. 2 boys argued about whether a rich pilgrim had dropped a coin or been robbed of it by divine correction. Life continued with insulting talent. He said grief would come, Mara said. Dagon did not turn. He said many things. You keep saying that. It keeps being true. Dagon, he looked back. The child had fallen asleep at her breast. Mara's face was pale with tiredness, not weak. Mara never looked weak. She looked like a lamp that had burned through more night than oil should allow. If Mary comes with news, Mara said, do not wound her because you are afraid to hear it. He wanted to answer sharply. He did not. The kind of progress no one applauds because only the person who does not speak knows what violence was avoided. What news? He asked. Mara looked down at the child. I do not know, then why say it? Because hope makes you crueler than despair. Unfair, it was also true enough to stay. Dagon crouched beside the water jar and splashed a little over his face. He thought of the first water skin, Jesus laughing about stolen water, Jesus on wood, dead. He stood too quickly. Mara saw but said nothing. They walked until evening took the sharpness from the road. By then speech had become smaller. The first day away from disaster does that. Morning is all planning. Midday is body. Evening is the place where grief catches up because the feet slow down. They found a hollow near stones where other travelers had camped before and left cold ash. Dagon checked the ground for signs of snakes, men, and recent fire. Mara settled with the child, wrapped him, unwrapped him, adjusted, sighed, and finally leaned back against a stone with her eyes open. Sleep, Dagon said. I will. That means no. It means I will. You are bad at lying when tired. You are bad at living when watched. That is unrelated. No. He sat opposite her. The dark gathered slowly, branch by branch, stone by stone. Somewhere below the road, water moved, or Dagon imagined it. Travelers nearby murmured. A donkey groaned like a prophet, disappointed in everyone. Above them, the sky opened with stars so indifferent they almost seemed merciful. Mara closed her eyes at last. Dagon waited until her breathing changed. Then he took the carved bird from inside his robe. The bad wing had worn smoother from his thumb. He turned it once in the dark. Ili's sister had carved it badly or loved it enough to make bad carving irrelevant. He wondered if she had lived. He wondered if wondering counted as care or only another way to keep guilt fed. Jesus would have answered that, probably with a question, probably with a joke so sharp it made Dagon want to throw something. Dagon pressed the bird to his forehead. You should not have died, he whispered. The road did not answer. The first night, they met the carpenter's family on the second road after the city. Dagon avoided main roads when grief made men careless. So he chose the smaller road. It punished him for the choice. Mara walked without complaint, which meant she was in pain or angry or both. Silence was when he began to worry. We rest soon, he said. Soon is not a place. It is when my pride finds shade. Then we may die walking. That made him smile because he was tired enough to accept small mercies badly. They heard the cart before they saw it. One wheel complained with every turn, not loudly, persistently. a tired wooden cry that made Dagon's teeth want to leave his mouth. The animal pulling it looked offended by existence. A woman walked beside the cart with a bundle tied across her chest and 2 children asleep against folded cloth in the back. A man walked near the bad wheel with a hand on the sideboard, listening. Dagon noticed it first. The man listened to the wheel, not to the road, not to the sky, not to danger. To the wheel, as if the wood were speaking in a language he respected. Dagon stopped. Mara looked at him. "What, bad wheel? You know wheels now? I know complaints." The man looked up at them. He was broad in the shoulders and narrow in the face, with sawdust caught in the seam of his sleeve, not fresh sawdust, old dust that had become part of him. His hands were scarred across the knuckles and thick near the thumb, a working man's hands. Hands that had measured, lifted, planed, cut, repaired, and paid for every mistake in splinters. "Peace to you," the man called. Dagon hated how quickly the word peace could become suspicious on a road. "And to you," Mara answered before Dagon could make the greeting uglier. The man's wife glanced at Mara first, then at Dagon, then at the road behind them. Smart woman, she had the sequence right. "Wheel trouble?" Mara asked. The man gave the cart a rueful pat. "Wheel opinion." Dagon nearly liked him. Dangerous. "Axle pin," Dagon said. The carpenter looked surprised. "You hear that? The whole road hears that. I mean the cause. I used to ride with men who stole bad carts." The wife stiffened. Mara closed her eyes. Dagon sighed. That was meant to be reassuring. "It was not," Mara said. The carpenter looked at him for a long moment, then laughed once. "Honest, at least. Rarely by choice." They drew the cart under the thin shade of a crooked tree. The carpenter introduced himself as Matt and his wife as Sella, the children as too tired to be introduced properly. Dagon did not ask where they were going. Road people did not ask first unless they wanted to be asked back. Matten knelt by the wheel. Dagon knelt opposite him. For a while neither man spoke. The proper way to begin with a broken thing. Matten had tools wrapped in leather. Good tools, not rich but cared for. A small saw, pegs, cord, a shaving blade wrapped so no child would find it by blood. Dagon watched him choose, reject, choose again. "You are a carpenter," Dagon said. "When wood cooperates? Does it? Less than priests claim." Dagon barked a laugh before he could stop himself. The sound hurt. Matten looked up. "Did I offend?" "No, that was true. It was also useless." Dagon stared at the wheel, then at the man's hands. "I knew a carpenter," he said. Mara went still behind him. Matten waited. Dagon swallowed. "Well," he said, "more than that." The road changed around the words. Inside Dagon the dust lifted. A hillside, a room, bread, a hand closing his fingers around a seed. Matten lowered his gaze to the wheel. "Good with his hands?" he asked. Dagon thought of Jesus breaking bread. Holding Dagon and Mara's joined hands as if a marriage were a road assigned to 2 fools with 1 lamp between them. "Yes," Dagon said, but that was not the strange part. "What was?" Dagon worked the broken pin loose with his thumbnail until it split. He was good with what hands are for. Matten did not answer quickly. That helped. Across the shade, Sella had given Mara water. They spoke in low voices, women making a road less cruel by rearranging small things. Cloth, bread, shade, silence where the children slept. Dagon looked at them and thought of every room Mara had kept alive before he knew rooms could be saved. Matten shaped a new peg from scrap. "Is he dead?" he asked. Dagon's hand stopped. The question was not rude. It was worse. It was clean. Rome killed him. Matten's blade paused, then continued. "I am sorry." Dagon wanted to say the usual road thing, men die, Rome kills. Sorry is a cup too small for that wine. Instead he said, "So am I." The new peg went in tight. Matten tested the wheel. The complaint softened, not gone, better. Most repairs were. Sella brought bread. Mara brought the water skin. The children woke enough to stare at Dagon as if deciding whether he belonged to a story their mother would later forbid or repeat. Matten offered them a place beside the cart until the next village. Dagon almost refused. Habit rose first. Refuse help before help becomes debt. Then he heard Jesus, not as thunder, only memory doing its stubborn work. Return. He looked at Mara. She did not tell him what to do, her way of telling him. "We can walk with you until the road turns," Dagon said. Matten nodded. "Good. I am not good company. Neither is the wheel." They walked together. The cart complained less. The children slept again. Sella and Mara spoke of water and cloth and which villages had farewells. Matten told Dagon how cedar behaves differently from sycamore, how a door remembers bad hanging, how a table leg must be corrected before the wobble becomes the table's nature. Dagon listened. He did not tell the man that a carpenter he knew had corrected rooms the same way, not by making them perfect. By touching the wobble before everyone learned to call it normal. At the road turn, Matten lifted one hand. "Peace," he said. This time Dagon answered first. "Peace." It felt strange in his mouth, not false, only new. Mara watched him after the cart moved on. "What?" he said. "Nothing. Your nothing has corners. Your quiet does too." He looked down the road after the carpenter's family. "He knew wood," Dagon said. "Yes, the other one did too." Mara came beside him. More than